kids. I started covering Gettysburg a couple years ago, as most of you know. Well, some of you know, some of you just joined in. And it makes me sadder than you could ever know that at this point, when I started covering Gettysburg, I was dropping little hints. Few of you got. Small handful of you actually understand and agree with, and for a lot of folks it just went psh. Despite my arguments, I'm afraid that the vast majority of folks who watch this channel still just want to see me pass by their favorite monuments, glorify the Civil War, lionize all the Union generals, and so on and so forth. Well, I've obviously pretty much refused to do that, and it pains me so much to let you folks know that while I thought there was a high probability a couple years ago when I started this of us having another Civil War, I think at this point it's nearly a certainty. As I've said before, it won't look the same, smell the same, taste the same. But that doesn't mean that we're not headed down a road to ruin. So again, as I've mentioned before, when folks like myself speak of things in the future, we're often a little jumpy, okay? Admittedly, we're often a little jumpy. And you know, none of us have a crystal ball and know exactly when any given event is going to take place. But we can give you a roadmap, you know. We can give you estimates. And we can give you, you know, examples from the past and history. And I think I've done most of that. But the bottom line is, a lot of folks don't want to hear it, don't want to listen, don't want to think about such awful things. Hang on with me a sec while I grab my maple latte and my shopping bag. You know, I hate to be the one to bring this kind of news to folks. I really do. But the thing is, things are progressing now at a rapid rate. Sorry. And this is always how it goes, okay? Things take a long time to reach their crescendo when it comes to societies. You know, there are often signs that most historians and most economists will see and notice and try to warn people about. And then often, you know, there are you know, certain measures put in place, certain stopgaps, you know, and band-aids placed on the wounds, which do nothing but prolong the inevitable, right? And I've talked about a bit of this lately. Not that these videos got many hits, but, you know, I've talked quite a bit recently about the deregulation of the banks in 1999, the crash of 2007, 2008. So those were two monumentous events that, again, we just put a band-aid on and, you know, kept on moving. And, of course, the state, you know, keeps telling people, no, it's fine. You know, we've fixed the problem. You know, we've enacted measures, you know, to make sure the banks won't fail and this and that and this and that. The banks are going to fail soon, okay? there's going to be a run. This is going to dwarf the Great Depression. This is going to dwarf the Gilded Age, okay? And again, I'm not trying to get any of you folks to prepare for it. I'm not trying to give anybody any specific advice, you know, financially. But the check is in the mail at this point. The train at this point has left the station. We are now on an irreversible course. And there's nothing that I can do or say, or there's nothing that anybody can do or say to stop it at this point. Okay? If I had one thing, one desperate plea to put out to you guys, it's that you don't take part. It's that you put your pitchforks down. Try and realize how irrational most of you on the extreme left and the extreme right are being. Okay? Because again, this is always how it starts. I've gone over, you know, our political divisions of recent years and so on and so forth. I really don't understand at this point how this is really hard to see for some people, or how it's really up for debate. Okay, but do understand, if you are on the extreme left or you're on the extreme right, and you're not going to back down and you're just going to dig in the heels, then you are part of the problem. Okay? In fewer years than you think, you're going to have to own up to this, and you're going to have to tell your descendants, your kids, your grandkids, that a lot of the, of course you won't, but you know, if you were truthful, you would have to tell them that a lot of the reason of how we got here was people like yourselves, who allowed themselves to be brainwashed to the extreme, who took extreme ideologies to the right and to the left, and for some reason still failed to see that this could have dire consequences. Something for you guys to seriously think about. All right, I'm now done. I'm waving a white flag with this video. Okay. God willing, you won't hear much more about this topic from me, because my days of warning people they're over. Like I said, the train has left the station. It's now up to you all to decide if you want to act like decent Americans and rational human beings or not, or if you just want to fan the flames. But now it's on you. It's on you now. And like I've said, we can't stop this, but we might be able to some lesser degree mitigate it, and perhaps see that it doesn't end up quite so violent, quite so awful, or prolong it. You know, that there are no easy answers here. Like I said, you know, revolutions happen, and it should go without saying to any of you who actually do real history, you know, outside of discrete events and particular generals in the Battle of Gettysburg, how revolutions happen. They happen almost always when societies are ascending or in decline. Now, last time we got one when this country was in its ascent, its meteoric rise. Okay, we have been in a downward spiral, like I've mentioned in at least a couple videos now, for more than a couple decades. All right, the writing is on the wall. At this point where there's just no way out. But maybe, just maybe, some of you can get a grip. Some of you can put down your guns and not dig in and just not make this any worse. It's worth thinking about. Anyhow, till the next one, guys. We'll do some more battlefield talks and talk about the generals and stuff like that soon.